There is a grave in the middle of Tokyo with a man's severed head in it. It sits on some of the most expensive land on Earth, and in 80 years, nobody has built anything on top of it. After the war, an American crew tried. The bulldozer went over, the driver was thrown out and killed, and the clearance stopped that morning. I know how that sounds. It is still there, and the banks around it pay for its upkeep. A cave you are forbidden to enter because it is a grave. A patch of bamboo nobody has walked into since 1854. A gate that has not opened in 1,300 years. 13 places in Japan, and nobody dares go into a single one. Number 13. A head is being carried into Kyoto in a box, and the story says it did not stay there. It belonged to Taira no Masakado. In the year 940, he declared himself the new emperor, which was the one thing you could not do. The court killed him and put his head on public display. Then, the story goes, it flew east on its own and came down in a fishing village called Shibasaki. Shibasaki is now Otemachi, Tokyo's banking district, and the head mound is still in it. This is where folklore turns into paperwork. After the 1923 earthquake, the Ministry of Finance flattened the mound and put a building on it. Within 3 years, the ministry was full of talk about a curse, and in 1928, it held a formal right to apologize to a man who had been dead for 988 years. They pulled their own building down first. Otemachi has been rebuilt around that plot ever since, and in the latest redevelopment, the planners drew the boundary so the mound fell outside it. Mitsubishi Estate, Mitsui, Mitsubishi UFJ Bank, and Marubeni fund the upkeep between them because none of them wants to be the one who moves it. Since 2021, you may not leave anything there at all. No offerings, no incense. A sign sends you to a shrine office a mile away. Because before that rule, the ground was covered in frogs. Hundreds of little ceramic ones. The Japanese word for frog sounds like the word for return, and Masakado's head returned. So people left frogs. Office workers transferred out of Tokyo who wanted to be posted back, and families of missing and kidnapped children. That is the detail that stays with me. Not the flying head. The frogs. Number 12 is a hole in the side of Mount Fuji. 6 men walked into it. 4 did not walk out. Number 12. 6 men are standing in water in total darkness under Mount Fuji, and the one in front is about to throw away a sword the shogun handed him personally. This is Hitoana in Fujinomiya, a lava tube running about 280 feet into the mountain. In 1203, the young shogun Minamoto no Yori sent a retainer named Nita Tadatsune in with a party of 6. The record is the Azuma Kagami, the official history of the Kamakura government, and it is oddly specific. Bats, wet feet, a passage too narrow to turn around in, and past that, an underground river running hard in the dark. Then the torchlight catches something, and 4 of the 6 drop dead where they stand. Tadatsune got out, but only after the thing in the cave demanded the shogun's sword and he threw it in the river. He was dead himself within months. That is what the chronicle says, which is not the same as what happened. 400 years later, an ascetic went in and stayed, and his followers turned it into a pilgrimage site. The ground outside is now covered with 233 stone monuments, most of them grave markers. And this is the part I like. Almost 60% of the place names carved into them are from downtown Tokyo. Exactly 1 is from Shizuoka, the prefecture the cave is actually in. The people who lived next to it did not go, and they still do not. Today, entry without permission is prohibited outright. You book through the city hall, in person or by telephone, and they will not take email, and they will not take you on the day. Weekends only, 5 people maximum with a guide in a helmet because the roof can come down, and with a lamp because there is no light in there at all. Closed completely from November to the end of February. 5 people at a time in a helmet at the weekend. To enter a hole that 6 men once walked into unescorted. If this is the kind of hidden Japan you want more of, go ahead and subscribe, because this is the only thing this channel digs into. Number 11. A wooden statue of the most respected man in Japan is being crucified at the end of a small bridge, and its owner has 3 days left to live. The bridge is Ichijou Modoribashi in Kyoto. It is 20 feet long. You could cross it without noticing you had. In 1591, Toyotomi Hideyoshi decided his tea master had insulted him. The tea master was Sen no Rikyu, the reason the Japanese tea ceremony looks the way it does. A temple had put a wooden statue of him above a gate. Hideyoshi took it down, carried it here, and crucified it with a board listing the charges. 3 days later, Rikyu was ordered to take his own life. Then they brought his head to the bridge and set it on the ground beneath the feet of his own statue. Why this bridge? Because of its name. In 918, a funeral procession is supposed to have crossed here, and the dead man's son threw himself on the coffin, and thunder cracked, and his father sat up. The Bridge of Return. Once a place is known as the bridge where the dead come back, the authorities put every warning they had at that end of it. And if you are getting married in Kyoto, you do not cross it. The city's own tourism material states that in the present tense. A bride who crosses the Bridge of Return will return, meaning she goes back to her parents' house, meaning the marriage has failed. Nobody has surveyed wedding cars, so I cannot tell you how many actually reroute. What I can tell you is that the belief is written down as current and that it has a mirror image which is fully documented. During the war, families walked their sons to this bridge on purpose and made them cross it before they shipped out. Same bridge, same word. Return. Number 10 is a rock about the size of a car. It has a rope around it, and everything that goes near it dies. Number 10. On a December morning in 2022, staff in Nasu found 8 wild boars lying dead beside a rock. 3 adults, 5 young ones. Not a mark on any of them. The rock is the Sessho-seki, the killing stone. It sits at the foot of an active volcano in Tochigi, 100 miles north of Tokyo, and the ground around it vents hydrogen sulfide without stopping. The gas is heavier than air, so it pools. Anything that walks in and puts its head down stops breathing. The legend says a 9-tailed fox worked her way into the emperor's court in the shape of a woman, was exposed, was hunted down on the Nasu plain, and turned into this rock. The fox is a story, the gas is a measurement, and look what the gas has done to everybody near it. The stone sits inside a fenced enclosure with a raised walkway, and when the output spikes, the rangers close it. The warning sign is aimed at people with small children and people with dogs, because that is who it would actually kill. And every year since 2009, local volunteers have braided about 50 feet of rope out of rice straw and tied it around the rock. Ask them why, and they give 2 reasons. So nobody mistakes it for an ordinary rock, and to console the animals it has killed. And on the 5th of March, 2022, the killing stone split in half. The town says it was natural. Cracks had widened for years, water gets in, it freezes, and it expands. That is probably right. The internet went a different way, and for about a week the fox was loose. What the volunteers did was quieter. They came back with more rope and tied both halves. Number 9 is a piece of ground so ordinary you would walk straight past it, and it is the strangest place in this entire video. Number 9. There is a square of bamboo growing in the middle of a town in Chiba, directly across the road from the city hall, about the size of a tennis court. Nobody has set foot inside it in living memory. It is called Hachiman no Yabushirazu. Roughly, the grove you do not find your way out of. 5 minutes from a train station, and a fence all the way around. That fence is not new. A diary from 1854 records a sign put up saying, "People must not enter." A travel account from 1858 says, "Villagers hold that anyone who goes in is cursed." And one of them runs straight back to where this video started. It says 6 of Taira no Masakado's retainers followed his severed head east, got this far, turned into clay figures, and dissolved into the soil in the rain. Which would mean anyone stepping on that ground is standing on them. Nobody can prove a word of it, and the town does not even try. Ichikawa City's official position is beautifully boring. The land was common land belonging to a different village, so people here were never permitted to walk into it. Not permitted to enter became must not enter, and must not enter became a place that swallows you. The fence is still there. When the bamboo gets overgrown and leans out over the road, the shrine that owns the land cuts it back in a way that specifically does not involve going in. Of everything on this list, this is the one I think about at random moments. Not because it frightens me. Because of the arithmetic. Roads were laid, a railway arrived, the city hall went up across the street, the whole country industrialized, and that patch of ground has been kept out of for longer than most countries have existed in their current form. Nobody enforces it. There is no law. Everybody just keeps not going in. Right. I have given you a severed head, a poison rock, and a forbidden grove, and I am about to change the temperature completely, so I want to say that out loud first. Number 8 is different, and it is going to feel out of place for a minute. This whole video so far has been things that kill you or curse you. This one is built out of the dead, and it is one of the gentlest places in Japan. Give me 2 minutes with it. Picture 8,000 small stone figures standing in rows on a hillside in western Kyoto, packed tight, every one of them facing inward at a single-seated Buddha. From above, it looks like a congregation at a service. That is exactly what it was arranged to look like. This is Adashino Nenbutsu-ji. Those stones exist because, for centuries, this hillside is where Kyoto put the people nobody claimed. If you had no family and no money, your body was not buried at all. It was carried out here and left in the open. For 1,000 years, those stones lay scattered and half sunk across the hill. Then in the Meiji period, local residents went up and collected them. All of them. By hand. 8,000 markers stood upright in rows, arranged so that the dead are not a graveyard. They are an audience. You are not allowed to photograph inside the enclosure. From outside the wall, yes. Inside, no. On the last weekend of August, they light candles among the stones at dusk. Thousands of them. And then there is the part that got me. On the 24th of every month, the temple holds an hour-long memorial for stillborn children and babies who died. Anyone can attend. And the offerings people leave at that jizo are not flowers. They are cosmetics. Sometimes alcohol, because the parent is buying for the age the child would be now. I keep coming back to that. Someone standing in a shop, working out what a 30-year-old would like. That is the breather. From here it gets harder. Number 7 is a door in the middle of a city of 2 million people that is not open since the 7th century. Number 7. In 1686, 4 or 5 priests open a locked box in a dark hall in Nagoya and look at the thing inside. Within a few years, the head priest has been sentenced to exile and the rest of them are dead. The thing in the box is the Kusanagi sword, one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan, and it lives at Atsuta Shrine. Nobody is permitted to see it. Not the public, not the government, not the priests. Its shape has never been confirmed. Those men broke that rule, and the account survives because one of them passed it on. The hall was full of mist. A wooden chest about 5 feet long, and inside it, a stone chest packed round with red clay, and inside that, a hollowed camphor log lined with gold. One secret key opened every lock. On top, wrapped in cloth, a blade about 33 inches long, whitish, with no rust on it at all. I should be straight about that source. It comes from a priest at a different shrine writing 40 years later. What a separate Edo scholar records is narrower and harder. Those involved in taking the sword out were punished within a few years. And here is what you can go and stand in front of today. On the north side of Atsuta's grounds is a gate the whole of Nagoya calls the Akazu no Mon, the gate that does not open. In the year 668, a monk stole the sword and carried it out through it, and the shrine's own guide says the gate has been shunned as inauspicious ever since. It has not been opened in 1,300 years. The last person who can be said to have seen that sword died in the 17th century. Number 6 is a mountain, where the rule is not that you cannot look. It is that you cannot say what you saw. Number 6. A man is walking barefoot across a huge rock with hot water running over it, and he will spend the rest of his life not telling anyone what it looked like. This is Mount Yudono in Yamagata, the third and holiest of the 3 sacred mountains of Dewa. There is no shrine building on it, no hall, no roof, nothing. The mountain itself is the deity, and putting a structure on it has always been forbidden. The rule is 4 words in Japanese: do not speak, do not listen, you do not describe what is up there, and you do not ask anyone who has been. That is not a tradition somebody remembers fondly, it is enforced now. Tsuruoka's official tourism authority states it plainly. Photography prohibited, worship barefoot. Cameras stop at a marked line. At the purification point, you take your shoes off and are cleansed with a paper figure, and without that you do not go in. The object of worship is a rock, described from outside as ochre or red with hot water pouring over it. The shrine will not confirm that. When Japanese reference works reach the entry for what the sacred object is, they write, by tradition, unknown. The Yudono ascetics are also where Japan's Soku Shinbutsu came from. Monks who ate almost nothing but nuts and bark for years, and were then sealed underground alive. Nearly half of all the ones known in Japan are at the temples at the foot of this mountain, still sitting there, dressed in glass cases. When Basho climbed it in 1689, the greatest travel writer in Japanese literature reached the top and produced one line: Yudono, of which nothing may be spoken. My sleeve is wet. He was not allowed to tell you why he was crying. He still is not. Number 5 is a mound in Kyoto nobody wants to look at either, and that one is not about the sacred. Number 5. 15 barrels are unloaded at a Kyoto temple in the autumn of 1597. They have come by ship from Korea, and they are packed with salted human noses. That is not a legend. It is a diary entry written at the time by a priest named Gien. 15 barrels of ears and noses have come up from Korea. A mound has been built near the Great Buddha, and they have been buried there. The mound is still there. It is called Mimizuka, and it sits in Higashiyama with apartment blocks around it. Here is why: noses. Toyotomi Hideyoshi had invaded Korea, and his order was to cut down everyone without distinguishing young from old, men from women, and send the heads back. Heads are heavy, so commanders switched to noses, which could be sliced, packed in brine, counted at collection points, and shipped with a receipt. Payment was per nose, which took the incentive straight past soldiers and into civilians. Nobody knows how many are in that mound. It has never been excavated, and the estimates run from 20,000 to nearly 40,000. What people do about it now is the quietest thing on this list. Korea has asked for the remains back. Japan refused, on the grounds that the mound is a designated national cultural asset and cannot be moved. A Japanese group collected 20,000 signatures and offered to pay for the excavation and the shipping themselves. Also refused. There is almost no signage. Guidebooks leave it out. One historian called it Kyoto's least mentioned and most often avoided attraction. And the grass is cut by neighbors who volunteer, because the funding is not there. In 1719, a Korean diplomatic mission refused to enter the temple at all, while that mound stood at its gate. The compromise was that the 2 senior envoys would attend, and that a screen would be put up around Mimizuka so that it could not be seen. The image I cannot get out of my head is that screen. Not the barrels, the screen. At number 4, the thing they built a fence around is a hole in a cliff, and the sign on it does not say danger. Number 4. 870 people are dying inside one burning temple in a single afternoon, and they are going in order, retainers first, so that the last man alive is the ruler. Kamakura, the summer of 1333. Nita Yoshisada's army has broken into the city, and Hojo Takatoki, the 14th regent, has retreated into his own family's temple. What happens there ends 300 years of Hojo power in an afternoon, and the chronicle counts the dead by household. The temple burned. Archaeologists have dug the site 3 times, and what they did not find in the cave behind it was a single human bone, because Nida's men had already dealt with the bodies. The bones turned up elsewhere. In the 1950s, University of Tokyo teams dug the beach a few minutes away and lifted over 910 people out of 32 clusters. Almost none were complete skeletons. They were skulls and limb bones that had been dug up once already and reburied in a heap. Then the blade analysis, which is the part that changed how I read this. 2/3 of the bones carry weapon marks, but deep chopping wounds are only about 3%. More than 8 in 10 are shallow scrapes across the skull. The anatomist who examined them concluded those are not fighting injuries at all. Somebody sat down with the heads afterwards and stripped them. Today you cannot go into either place. Kamakura City's official page says it in one sentence. You cannot enter, you can look at the ground from outside the fence. And the cave up the slope is roped off with a sign reading, "This is a spirit place and a pure precinct. Entry other than for worship is prohibited." The rockfall risk is real, but the reporting is clear that the rope is there for a second reason too, and hold on to it, because it comes back at number 1. It is there to keep out people who come for a scare. Number 3 is a castle everybody visits. It is the town around it that stopped doing something. Number 3. It is Bon, the summer festival of the dead, and men from the castle are walking into the dance to take the best dancer out of it. Matsue in Shimane, sometime before 1611. The story goes that the stone base of the new keep kept collapsing, and the builders decided they needed a hitobashira, a human pillar, a person buried alive in the foundation to hold the structure up. They went to the Bon dance in the castle town, chose the finest dancer, a young woman whose name nobody wrote down, and put her in the stonework. The stonework held, and afterwards, whenever a girl danced in Matsue, the castle hill was said to shudder and the keep to shake from the basement to the roof. Lefcadio Hearn wrote it down in 1894. Nothing is remembered about her, he says, except that she was beautiful and very fond of dancing. There is no archaeology behind any of it. None. No proven human pillar has ever been found in a Japanese castle anywhere, and what excavators actually pull out of foundations is dolls and paper talismans. There is a dry explanation available too, which is that old Bon dances were mixed courtship events and domains banned them on public morals grounds all the time. Except that the castle went up in 1611, it is now one of only 12 original keeps left standing in Japan, and something in that town never restarted. A Japanese history magazine rang Matsue City Hall to check. The answer was this: in the old castle town area, we still do not hold Bon dances today. And when they asked why, the person at the city said, because of the human pillar legend. That is a local government in the 2020s giving a folktale as the working reason a public festival does not happen. Be precise about the scope. It is the old castle town district, not the whole city, and it is convention, not law. Nobody banned anything. 400 years on, they simply do not dance there. Before we get to number 1, do me one quick favor and tap the like button. I am still getting this channel off the ground, and it helps more than you would think. Number 2, a man kneeling in the dirt on a small island in Hiroshima Bay picks up a jawbone, and the permanent teeth in it have not come through yet. That was March 2025. The island is Ninoshima, 5 miles from the hypocenter. On the 6th of August, 1945, it had an army quarantine station with medicine for about 5,000 people, and it was undamaged, so boats started running the wounded across. The first ones landed under 2 hours after the bomb. By that evening, all 30-odd buildings were full, and the medicine had run out. Around 10,000 injured people were brought over in 20 days. The dead could not be cremated fast enough, so they dug pits and buried 60 to 80 bodies at a time. And when the pits ran out, they carried them into the air raid shelters. How many actually died there has never been established. Then the island went back to being an island, and they built a school on it. In 1971, construction on the school's farming plot turned up 7 skeletons, and the dig that followed recovered an estimated 617 people. A woman who was a pupil there remembers it the way you remember weather. When we made a field for class, bones came up everywhere. 7 of the dead got a name back. One was a 14-year-old girl pulled out of school to demolish buildings for fire breaks, half a mile from the blast. Her father crossed to the island on the 10th of August, and they gave him a few locks of her hair to take home. 26 years later, they identified her by the commuter pass case buried with her bones because her name was on it. I am not going to say it. Her father already carried it home once. In 2004, the city ran one more survey and closed the file. The official line from Hiroshima's own department is one sentence: "We are not considering any new excavation." So one man does it instead. A researcher originally from Okinawa, whose own family still has relatives missing from 1945, got permission from a landowner and has been going out at weekends since 2018, digging by hand in ground the city never surveyed. A landslide once buried the site and put him back to zero. He started again. He was filmed when he found the jaw. What he said was, there are teeth. They have not been replaced yet. It is a child. This is unbearable." I have read a great deal of this kind of material. That one stopped me. Number 1 is a cave you are not allowed to enter, and the reason is the same reason you would want to. Number 1. On the 2nd of April 1945, a nurse walks into a cave in Okinawa carrying a syringe, and the people waiting for her are her own relatives. The cave is Chibichiri Gama in Yomitan. The Americans had landed the day before. About 140 villagers were sheltering inside, and they had been told for years what capture would mean. So, when American soldiers came to the mouth and called them out, the villagers went up the cliff at them with sharpened bamboo. 2 were shot. The next morning, it happened inside. The nurse used what she had on the people she knew. Mothers used kitchen knives on their own children. A man who said he had been a soldier set fire to the piled bedding, and the cave filled with smoke. 83 people died in there. About 60% of them were 18 or under. The ones who ran outside instead all lived. And here's the thing that ought to be in every account of this and usually is not. A quarter of a mile away is another cave, Shimuku Gama, where roughly 1,000 people were hiding. 2 men in there had lived in Hawaii and knew the Americans were not what the propaganda said. They talked everybody out. Nobody died in Shimuku Gama. Same island, same day, same fear. The only variable was whether anyone in the room had met an American. The families said nothing about it for 38 years. The story came out in 1983, and a Bereaved Families Association formed that year and has held a service at the mouth of the cave every 2nd of April since. And you cannot go in. That is not a safety rule, and it is not the government. The Yomitan Tourism Office puts it in one line on its own website. Entering Chibichiri Gama is prohibited by the will of the bereaved families. It is prohibited because the cave is the grave and the remains are still in it. You can stand at the mouth. Shimuku Gama you can walk straight into, and they will lend you a torch. In September 2017, 4 boys aged 16 to 19 went in for a kimoda meshi, a test of courage, the old dare where you go into a frightening place at night. They pulled out the sign. They smashed the memorial stonework. They tore up the paper cranes that visiting school children had left, and they disturbed the place where the collected bones are kept. What happened next is why this is number 1 and not number 4. They were caught and put on probation, and then they came back. In January, the 4 of them returned with their probation officers and spent 3 days repairing and cleaning the cave. The families and the sculptor had prepared stone faces and arms in advance, and the boys assembled and installed 12 Buddhas around the entrance. One of them said afterwards that he intends to go and put his hands together there every year. I sat with that a while before I wrote it down. Everybody else in this video who broke a rule about a forbidden place got a curse or a fire or an exile. These 4 got handed a bag of stone faces and told to build. Here is what I did not expect to find. I went looking for places people are frightened of. What I found 13 times over is places people have agreed about. Nobody drew up a policy. There is no inspector. A fence goes up in a Chiba town in the 1800s, and 2 centuries later, a shrine trims the bamboo from the outside. A city stops dancing and cannot give you a reason except a story. Call that superstition if you like, but a rule that survives with nobody enforcing it is not really a rule about ghosts. It is a rule about who we owe. Every one of these is somewhere the living decided the dead had the stronger claim and kept honoring it quietly for longer than any law has lasted. So what would it take where you live for people to leave a piece of ground alone for 400 years? Which one of these would you actually not walk into if somebody handed you the key and told you the fence was only advice? Tell me below. I read them all.